usual, I'm really happy and glad to be working with you guys. And I hope that the people attending this webinar are able to learn something or take something out of this as well. So happy to be here.
Awesome. So now it's recording, and it's up to you if you'd like to share your screen, and you can get started at this point.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. So if everyone can see my screen now, can everyone see my screen? Joanna, can you see my screen?
Yes, all good.
Okay. So hi guys. I'm going to be talking today about website optimization for conversions in 2021, and also touching the topic of search engine optimization and organic traffic and how it works, what are the best practices. A little bit about myself, like Joanna said, I've been working with Intermetal LLC. It's a furniture manufacturing company. It's part of Harwal Group, and I am a digital marketing specialist for them. Previously, I've been working with in the information technology industry. However, now I have moved to the furniture manufacturing industry, and I'll be talking lots to do with website and how you can improve things on your website, how you can optimize it to get more conversions, more visitors. And so let's get started. What you will be learning is why you need to invest in a responsive website, what are the elements of a high conversion website, how to use SEO best practices to improve website conversion rates, how to improve your organic traffic to the website, and of course, I will be sharing some examples and use cases along with this so that you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So as you guys would know, approximately now like 70% or more of today's buyers are doing research and getting influence through digital channels. That could be social media, search engines, Google, wherever you name it. You will be able to see advertisements everywhere and people reaching out to you through mobile and connect with you, and only once they've done their research thoroughly over the internet are they making their purchase decisions. So what is a responsive website? A responsive website, like the name suggests, is like a website which adapts to different screen sizes. For example, the user may be working on a desktop computer, or they might switch to mobile or a tablet, iPad, you name it. And a responsive website is one where the screen adapts to what kind of screen size the user is using, and it renders the images, the links accordingly, and displays perfectly on each screen size. So whether it's whether it's a desktop, tablet, laptop, or smartphone, your website is thoroughly optimized for the user to be able to see all the links, click on the links, view the images. Nothing is getting cut off from the sides or displayed like disorderly. So let's get, why do we need to invest in a responsive website? Because a responsive website is designed with an adaptive user interface. It keeps the varying screen sizes in mind. Now, what Google does is it's adopting a mobile first approach. Like for example, now you would see everyone's using a smartphone. And the moment you want to like look up whether you want to buy a car, or whether you want to buy something for your house, or whether it could be anything, shoes, fashion, you just take out your phone and you will be able to search for that product or brand. You could look up the prices, you could research, you could see the reviews. Most of the fashion companies have an app nowadays, the shoe companies, and 70% of web traffic today comes from a mobile device. So it's very important for your website to be able to, adapt to the different mobile devices. So Samsung may have a different screen size compared to an iPhone. So it's really important that your website is optimized for all screen sizing, keeping in mind all screen sizes. Because this Google mobile first approach combined with the consumer behavior, 51% of consumers say that they use mobile devices to discover new brands and products. Like you may not even have heard of the brand otherwise, but they might be advertising on the mobile. So you might see a pop-up and decide to buy it because they have really affordable pricing or you really like their reviews, something. Combined with this, 46% of people say that they would not purchase from a brand again if they had a interruptive mobile experience. Like, for example, the website unexpectedly closed, or they were not able to click on some link, or they were not able to view some images. Something happened which caused them like disappointment, and they decided not to buy from them. All of these things combined, and an enhanced search engine optimization would lead to quality leads, like quality conversions. If any of these things are not kept in mind, you would be losing out traffic, you would be losing out potential buyers, and yeah, and that would affect your business or revenue eventually. So it's really important to keep all of these things in mind and design your website. So what are the elements of a high conversion website? Um, so the first thing is technical stability. And the second thing is content. And the third thing is web presence. Technical stability means like all of the technical aspects, which would be basically taken care of by your developer. And this would include the following things that I'm going to talk about. Content is straightforward. It's the text on your website. Web presence means that how your website is in terms of like, are you on social media? Is your website advertised on different directories on the web, or do you have social media platforms linked to your website? Are those social media platforms linking back to your website? Things like that. So starting with technical stability, one of the first points is, and Google was really, really, really adamant on this. They had a really big update a few years ago, I think in 2019, where they said that all the websites have to be on HTTPS, which means they have to have an SSL certificate installed on the website, which makes it secure. So for example, the site will not be breached easily, and Google started considering this as one of the ranking factors. The moment you see that the website, in my first example, as you can see, the CSS Zen Garden website, it shows not secure next to the URL, which means that the website does not have the SSL certificate installed. This would give Google, it would show Google that this does not have the certificate installed, and it would drop the website in rankings when it comes to SEO. So for example, if anyone is searching for CSS design and they want their website to come up, it still wouldn't come up because of the HTTP protocol. But when you see the Qureos website that is in my second example, you will see a lock icon right next to the URL, which means that the SSL certificate is installed on this site. And when you click on the padlock on this lock, you will be able to see when the certificate was installed and when it expires, and you have to keep updating this. And this is also something that your developer can do. And once done, you will be able to see that this padlock will start showing up instead of the not secure. And once this padlock shows up, it will signal Google that your website is now secure, and it will start helping in the rankings when you do your search engine optimization. So this is really one of the key factors to consider when developing a website. In today's day and age, you have to tell the developers to install the SSL certificate right from the get-go, because it is a little complicated to be putting an HTTP website on HTTPS later on. It would require some hours of work once if it's not done from the get-go. So this is something that I would recommend doing it. If you are developing a new website, I would recommend doing it from the get-go. So the second point is, if your website is already up, you've already designed it, and you want to shift it from HTTP, which is the not secure. So for example, if this URL, you copy it, it would be http://zengarden.com. This one would be https qureos.com. So what I mean is, once you have installed the SSL certificate, you have to signal Google that you have done this change, and you have to redirect the website from HTTP to HTTPS. Now, how do you do that? That's also if you have a WordPress website, there are pretty much, if you Google it, they're pretty much straightforward steps on how to do this. And you can always tell your developers to help you out with this, and they would do the same. What this means is single redirection from HTTP to HTTPS. What this means is that you cannot have multiple a link redirecting several times, and which it kind of impacts your rankings if you're giving Google the signal that your website is directing multiple times. So for example, if Qureos was on HTTP before and they want to redirect to HTTPS, you have to give a single redirection. This is called a 301 redirection. Um, you can see in the first example, there is a 302 redirect. Now, a 301 direction means that the site has permanently moved from HTTP to HTTPS. But a 302 redirection is one which is temporary. So you have to tell Google that your website is permanently moved from HTTP to HTTPS, and this is really important to Google, as one of the as their algorithm says that you have to have a 301 redirection only, and you cannot have multiple redirections on your website. This again will drop your rankings when it comes to search engine optimization, and yeah, so this is just not good to have. And you will be able to see these things when you work with a developer or you work with search engine optimization. Google has a very good tool called as Page Speed Insights, which tells you all of these problems that your website may be facing and how to fix them. So you can go ahead and check out that tool if you want. Now, you see in the second example, this is a redirection checker tool, which is basically saying that the first example, there's a 302 redirection, which is a temporary redirection. While that is fine to have, it is more favorable if you have a 301 redirection, which is what Google wants you to have. And the second example, you can see the Qureos website, which seems to be fine because it says congratulations, everything is fine. That means their redirection and everything, they don't have multiple redirections. They have the 301 redirection all set up and everything is fine. So at the moment you want to check all of these things, you can just Google redirection checker tool, and you will be able to see multiple tools on Google for you to be able to check this out. So now the next thing would be orphan pages. What this means is each page on the website should have a definite link in either the header or the footer menu. Like any website you will go to, you will see a menu on the top of the website, and then there will be a footer where you will see all the links on the footer from the website as well. So if you click if you type on Google site https qureos.com, this is just an example, and you will see the links that are there on the website. For example, apprentice, pricing, guides, and and you will be able to go on these websites and see that these links are there mentioned on the header menu as well as the footer. And what this means is, like, there is not there are no pages that are not mentioned on the menu. If there are pages that are not mentioned on either of these menus, that means they are orphans. And this is not a practice that you should be following, because this also kind of again ties in with search engine optimization, and it's not a good practice to have. Every page that you have on your website should have a link on the primary header menu or on the footer menu. And this is a practice that should be followed, because if you have a page that people cannot see anywhere, how are they supposed to find out or link to it or go to it or click on it, and it does not signal Google also that that page is kind of part of your website. So this is really important as well when it comes to website optimization and search engine optimization. And these are all part of the technical stability of the website, and really, really basic and important things to follow. The next thing is mobile first indexing and quick load time. Now Google had another update about last year that they are going to consider mobile first indexing. What this means is that your website should be responsive to a smartphone first of all, and they would see the website on the mobile, how it loads on the mobile first rather than on the desktop. The earlier practice was that the that Google would be seeing the desktop version of the site first and then the mobile site. But now it wants to show that like everybody's using smartphones, so it kind of moving away from that, and they would be checking mobile first and how it's loading, how are is the links clickable, images are perfectly all right, it's loading really fast, and everything, and then move to a desktop version of the site. So it's if your website does not even load on mobile or like is not optimized for mobile, this would affect your rankings directly, and it would obviously cause a drop in rankings for your SEO. So for example, what this means is that if you search for a car or a shoe and you want your website to come up, it's not going to show up just because it does not load properly on mobile. It's going to drop your rankings. And the website's load time should be really quick, because what happens is users then get annoyed that your website is not loading quick enough and they might just exit it. And this would definitely, if you manage to have these two things in mind, and while developing your website or while fixing your website, it will you will ensure that your website comes on the page one of the search engine, which is Google. Now what you see here below is an example where I'm using another tool. This is called GT Metrics, and basically what this does is it is checking the performance report for Qureos.com. And now what it shows is like the page, how long it took to load this website, which is 3.5 seconds, which is not bad, and the page size is 2.87 MB. So now what affects the load time is obviously the amount of images and amount of links, amount of scripts that are loading on your website. And if you have really, really heavy images on your website, of course, it's going to increase the page size, and it's going to affect the load time of the website. So it's really important to make sure that your images are sharp but compressed, and the page size should not be ideally more than 3 MB, like you can see in my example here. And because the moment there are like huge images loading on the website, immediately your load time would be increased. And of course, for the scripts, you can consult with your developer, and he would ensure that the scripts are also compressed and kept to a minimum. There are a lot of technical aspects that are shown in this report actually, and your developer would be able to understand it better. But this also again would impact your ranking, so it's important to keep your load time and page size to a minimum. And the amount of total page requests is 121. This also should be at a lower level, because the moment your page requests are increased, it's basically loading scripts and things like that. So if the requests are more, it will increase your load time. And like you can see on the right, this is an example of how the website Qureos.com is looking on an iPhone X. You should be able to check this as well. And there are many tools to be able to check this as well. If you just Google it, and you can check out how your website looks on an iPhone or a Samsung or a tablet, iPad, and you will be able to see immediately that it looks different from desktop. So it is optimized. Like for example, here you will not see the primary menu on top like you see on the desktop. You'll be able to see three bars on the right hand side top corner, which would then list out the menu for you. So that's different from desktop. You can immediately see that. And so this website is like the font might be smaller, and it's like compressed as per your screen size. So this shows that the website is optimized and it is responsive to to what kind of mobile you're using. And you should be able to see this on, like, just by clicking there. And there are tools where you can just click on different types of mobiles and see how your website looks in each of them. If you see that it does not look proper on Samsung, you can again go ahead and check what the problem is. You can consult with your development team and check out what the problem is. So I had a question here. If you can put in your chat box, what do you think is the ideal website page load time? How fast do you think a website should load before, like, a user drops out, or people get bored, or your bounce rate of the website increases, which means like people would close your website. They wouldn't wait any longer for this. If you could give me an idea of what you think the ideal website page load time is, and like put in your guesses in the chat box, and then I'll give you the answer. I'll give you a few more seconds if anyone wants to guess. Okay, so the first answer, which is right, is Zafreen, 2 seconds. So the load time that Google recommends should be under 2 seconds, between 1 to 2 seconds. So Zafreen was the first one to comment that. Then Amar, you're right as well. It should be 1 to 2 seconds. Ahmad is also right, 1 to 2.5 seconds. Joanna, yeah, 3 to 5 is all right, but ideally Google recommends that the website page load time should be under 2 seconds. So Celeste, 10 to 15 seconds is too much. People would just drop off, actually. They would not wait that long. People's attention span is really low, as Maro suggested. So I'll get back to the presentation now. Yeah, so Google recommended page load time is under 2 seconds. They, in fact, themselves, they are ideally trying to make their website load in 0.5 seconds. So yeah, that's really fast. So yeah. So these are few examples. Like if your site loads in under 5 seconds, it is faster than approximately 25% of the web. Why it's saying this is because a lot of people don't even consider page load time to be that important, but Google has made sure, like in a lot of their webinars, in their updates and releases, that this is not to be overlooked. This will affect your rankings, and yeah, ideally you should be under 2 seconds. So if your website loads in under 0.8 seconds, it's actually faster than approximately 94% of the web, which is saying something, because a lot of websites don't consider this. So it's really really important. And like someone Celeste suggested, 10 to 15 seconds is too long, because 57% of websites leave a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. Yeah, so our attention span is really really not that great. Okay, so I'll move on to the next topic, which is content. Uh, this is, of course, every website has content. Now, what thick content means is like websites that rank well on Google and well consistently have a lot of static content on the website that's added and updated regularly. So, for example, you can see the Qureos website. They have a blog section which they are regularly updating, and they're answering queries. Like they are talking about problems or queries that their users or their mentors or students might have, and they are using 500 to 600 words, and placing content on the website in what we say is blogging. And what this does is it signals to Google that you constantly have a lot of content that is updated on your website that answers questions. So for example, if anyone is a student and he's searching for best practices to when he's starting to work, and he's searching for like best practices, transitioning from university workplace, he might write it in a different way, obviously, but it would signal Google that Curios has a blog that's newly updated that is answering this question of the user, and it might show up in the search results of Google. So it's really important to have content regularly updated. It might be like just one or two blogs per month, but you should have content. If there's no content on the website, there's no way to signal Google that what is your website about, or what is your company about, or what you're trying to sell, what services, what product you're trying to sell. So it's very important. And as I told you, a lot of people are constantly on their mobile, they're searching for stuff. You want your website to come up a lot, and that is clearly it's done using content. It's very important in terms of search engine optimization. And thick content means that your website is thick with content. And a website with no blog page or very less content would be known as like a thin content website. And that would not rank very well on Google, because it doesn't signal anything about your website to Google, and Google just doesn't know what to do. So yeah, ideally you should have like 4 to 5 blogs uploading per month. That's a good practice to have, but you could start with like 1 or 2 blogs, or like updating other pages of your website regularly to make sure that you're answering queries of what people are searching for. And now the next step would be, when you are creating these blogs, you have to make sure your keywords are mapped into the content, which means when you're answering this query of, okay, why your company could use an apprentice, for example, you should know the keywords that people use. Do people use the word apprentice, or do people use the word mentor? And then accordingly have those keywords mapped into the content page. And for example, in this page, they might be talking about apprentices, and the other one they're talking about best practices of workplace. So with these two blogs, they're already mapping out two different queries that users may have, and getting those people onto your website. So you're targeting people who are transitioning from university to workplace, and then you're targeting companies who could use apprentices. So they're totally different audiences, but you are trying to get both those audiences onto your website. So it's really important to have those SEO search engine keywords. You need to find out what your target audience is searching for, and you need to accordingly and what they call. For example, I'll give you an example is that people know Dubai more than they know about United Arab Emirates. So it's important to have the keyword Dubai on your content rather than talking about United Arab Emirates, because Dubai is like a brand. It's like if anyone wants to search for something, they would write Dubai, and you can see it if you use any tools to to see the data of your website. And I have seen this, like people make the most searches with the word Dubai keyed into it rather than using the word UAE or United Arab Emirates. So it's really important to know how your audience is, searching, what kind of keywords they use, and accordingly have them included in the content of your website. So the third and final thing about a high conversion website would be good web presence. What this means is, like, again, this is something that Google has said that you should do, that the websites with the highest web presence will be ranked the best. So what this means is, like, your website should be it should have social media platforms. They should be linked to social media platforms. They should have regular blogs updated linking back to the website. You should share videos and content on YouTube and other media sharing websites. And then you have press releases. If your company has press releases, or you are a company, you have to announce something, then you have to make sure it goes on these social press release websites. And then there are other directories and a lot of other microsites where you can put in your content and then link it back to your website. The more links and more quality links and mentions that your website would have, the better it would start ranking on Google. So, for example, you could be a guest blogger on some other website and also post your blogs or your content over there and link it back to your own website. So and then make sure these websites are not just like they have a good domain authority. You can check that as well. There are many websites that can check website domain authorities. This has to be like, yeah, like for example, if you use LinkedIn and post a blog of yours there and link it back to your website, this would obviously signal to Google that your website is mentioned on LinkedIn, and it would tell that they're posting quality content, and a lot of mentions and links are linking back to this website, so it must be good. So they start ranking it towards the first page of Google, and that's ideally what you want. Yeah, so you can see some examples here: Facebook, LinkedIn, and there are a lot of websites that you can use. Ensign articles, Buzzle.com. There might be like lots more that are coming up every day where you can just post your content. And there are a lot of social PR websites as well. You can search them up. You can even look up what directories or what press release websites are there according to your field. So, for example, if I am into furniture, I would search for that. If Qureos is into apprenticeship, mentorship, they would search accordingly sites that are related to that to post your content. So if you're into fashion, you can select fashion related websites that you can use to post your blogs, and yeah, so on and so forth. Yeah. This is another tool, and this is just an example of a fashion website. This tool is called Site Analyzer, and basically what it does is it gives you a score out of 100 for each part of your website. For example, SEO, content, design, performance, accessibility. So SEO, as you can see, green would be the perfect score to have. Red is not good, and yellow means like it's pretty average. So this website does not have a lot of content on their website. Obviously, it's a fashion website, but it could include like a blog page or something of the sort where they're regularly talking about fashion trends and things like that. But it does not. That's why their content rating is so low. You can see 43.3 out of 100, which is critical, which is really bad. Um, and pretty much in every other aspect, they're fair, they're average. It can be improved. Like their SEO, obviously their SEO is not really going to work because they don't have that much content on their website. Their design is okay. Their performance, again, it's not properly optimized, which is why the performance indicator is also low. And accessibility again means the responsiveness of the website, and how if people are able to click on the links and they're not too tiny, they're not too big, and the images are loading properly. Again, that's again average. So there's a lot that can be improved on this website, and you can even test this. You can create a trial account on the siteanalyzer.com, and you can check where your website is lacking and what can be improved. If you click on any of these, it will give you a detailed breakdown of what needs to be improved and how you can do it, or like what are the errors on your website and how you can improve it. So this is really a good tool, and there are many tools out there like this, where you can search and just find out what's wrong, or what you can improve on your website. And ideally you wanna go above 75 or 80. Obviously it's better if your site is 90 or 90 plus, but that's the aim. So this overall, this website is pretty average. Yeah, and lots can be improved on it, and this would automatically signal Google again to get you a better ranking on their website. So another question I would like to ask everyone now is, what percentage of people do you think begin their purchase process with a search engine? So out of 100, like what percentage do you think people out there are searching, they're going on Google and searching for something that they want to buy, like immediately before they, do anything else? Like maybe they go to check the reviews, or like, yeah, just check the reviews, check the prices, check the models, anything. But what percentage of people out there, out of 100, do you think they begin their purchase process with a search engine, as opposed to like going to the mall or going to an outlet and checking out the product first? If you could just let me know in the chat box again, and I'll let you know the answer. So 70%, 60%, 75, 80%. Looking for some more answers. Getting close there. 25%, 90%, 80%. 80 to 90%, 70 to 80%. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this name properly, but Nishe, 90%, that was the first person to say 90%. That's actually the correct answer. Um, yeah, 25% is too low in today's day, Amar. It's 90%. 90% is the answer. So everyone who said 80 to 90%, Joanna 92%, yeah, correct. Maro 80 to 90%, that's correct. So I just start sharing my screen again. So yeah, so basically, approximately 90% of the customers begin their buying process with a search engine. Um, and yeah, because like I said, everyone is using a mobile phone these days, or a tablet, iPad. The internet is literally on their hand. So yeah, so I would like to talk a little bit about search engine optimization and its business benefits, like what it means. I've been mentioning this throughout the webinar, but I'll just tell you what exactly it is. Search engine optimization is the process of making your website favorable to search engine results, which means, like I said, like Google, or it would signal Google that you need to rank higher on when people are searching for something. It's not only Google though; it means all search engines. It could be Bing, it could be Yahoo, but mostly people are using Google right now. So we're going to focus on that one. It involves various on-page and off-page techniques like technical aspects, content, and all of those things that I mentioned before to make your website appear whenever someone searches for something. Like for example, in the right, you can see cloud hosting providers Dubai. So, or you could search for like something related to fashion or shoes or cars, like I want to buy a Lexus car or anything like that, on Google. And once you search that, so you can see in the right, cloud hosting providers Dubai is the keyword, and the result that was, this is my old company, so I'm just giving you an example of that. It's ranking number one on Google when someone searches for cloud hosting providers Dubai. It's because we were optimizing this keyword. We were putting this keyword into our content. You can see on the description that cloud hosting providers in Dubai is mentioned on the description here. And this is why a lot of technical, obviously, changes and a lot of activity, after which our website is ranking number one on Google. So Google receives over 75,000 searches per second, and that equates to over 6.3 billion every single day. So you can just see like SEO is opening up a vast land for B2B and B2C. B2B means business to business, and B2C means business to consumer marketing. Like it's basically you need to do some aspects of changes on your website, and you can have people have see your website for free. You just need to focus on the content. You need to focus on the some of technical changes, for example, like I said, SSL certificate and page load time and things like that, and you can have your website literally on Google for free, and people would search for your product or service, and ultimately a few of them would buy from you. So that is the ultimate goal. And like you said, like you can see on the bottom here, the first five results receive 67 to percent of the clicks, whereas the remaining five. So basically, on one page of Google, there are about 10 results, and the first five receive like about 68% of the clicks, and the remaining five, the bottom five, just receive about 3.73%. That's quite low in comparison when you see talk about the first five. So ideally, you want to have your website on the first page, and not only that, you want to have your website on the first five results of the first page. Or how you can do that is the technical changes, the content changes, and the web presence changes that I mentioned to you before. And if you follow all of these, it will definitely help get your ranking better and better and better. And you have to remember that SEO is not just something that you can do and overnight and have your website on the first page. It requires months of changes and content updates and things like that, and then putting quality links on other websites that are related to your field. And only after that would you, maybe after 3 to 4 months or 5 months, you will start seeing the results. So it's not something that can be done overnight, but it's a mix of all of these things combined, which give you results. Ultimately, after 3 months or something, you will see that your website has moved from the fifth page to the third page, and then from the third page to the first page. And then ideally you will be able to see it on the top five positions. But yes, it requires a lot of work, and that's what we do as a digital marketing specialist. You hire an agency or you hire a developer to help you out, and you make all of these changes and then get your website up. So how to use SEO best practices? Yeah, like what are the best practices when it comes to search engine optimization, and that would improve your website conversion rates? So now, like I said, SEO is a process of getting your website on the search engine first page. How you do that is have your keywords mapped into your content. And for that, you need to first start with a keyword research exercise. Like, for example, if I am into furniture manufacturing, what are the keywords related to it? So we're into furniture manufacturing. We have a factory in Dubai. We supply to hotels, to restaurants. So these hotel furniture, restaurant furniture, educational furniture, these are all our keywords, and we want to be ranking for them ideally. And my previous company was into cloud hosting. So cloud hosting providers in Dubai, we want to be ranking for that sort of a keyword. We used to supply private cloud, public cloud. So we want those keywords. Whenever someone types those keywords, we want our website to come up. So it's very important to know, if you're a fashion company, then you want um, uh, affordable dresses in Dubai, or if you're searching for a car, luxurious car, all those keywords, you need to know your target audience. You need to know what kind of product or service you are offering, and accordingly, do a keyword research. There are tools that Google also has called Keyword Planner that you can use to help you with this research exercise. It will show you what kind of keywords people are using, and what are the search volumes. Now, what search volumes means is that for a particular keyword, like furniture manufacturer in Dubai, it will kind of give you an estimate or average, like how many people are searching for it in a month in UAE. So, for example, if the keyword search volume is zero, like nobody's searching for it in a particular month, you don't want to be using it. Um, there's no point of optimizing your website for a keyword that nobody is using or searching with. But when it comes to maybe a hotel furniture manufacturer or a restaurant furniture in Dubai, if you see that the search volumes in a particular month are like 100 or 1,000, you want to be using that keyword definitely and optimizing your website for it, because you know that people are searching for it. And you can even search according to location, like how many people are searching in UAE, or how, if your website is not based in Dubai, maybe a product or service, or your company is in India, you can even change the location, and yeah, it would tell you how many people in India are searching for that keyword, and you could accordingly optimize the website and include those keywords in your content. Do not include keywords that have zero search volumes. It's of no use. And yeah, so the next point is select industry relevant keywords with good search volume. That's what I was talking about. So both these points are talking about keyword research, and it's important to have a good exercise and selecting, maybe starting off with 20 to 30 of your best keywords, and gradually you can even increase your keywords to 100 or 150 or 200. Um, there's no limit to how many keywords you can use on your website, but ideally you should start with like 20, 30, and then gradually grow them. Of course, you can't have an unlimited number of keywords to optimize for, because your developer and your SEO expert has to then put these keywords into your content and everywhere else, and you can't have like 3,000 keywords that you're optimizing for, unless it's a huge website and you are catering to many different markets. And yeah, so the next point is add keywords to your content. We already spoke about this. Write unique keyword rich heading tags, meta titles, and descriptions. What this means is, like you can see in the previous page, the title dedicated cloud hosting solutions is basically a meta title. You need to be optimizing these as well to include your keywords. And then the bottom part where you can see the description is called a meta description. So these meta titles and descriptions should include your keywords and should be unique. People should be attracted towards them so that they would click on it. And yeah, so if your description is really boring, people would not like really click on your website even though it ranks well. So, and it's important to keep changing these descriptions and titles every 3 to 6 months. so that you know what's working, what's not working. And yeah, it's signaling Google again that your website includes this keyword. And again, like we mentioned before, you have to optimize your site loading time. It should ideally be improvising. You should try to keep making this loading time lower and lower and lower at how much ever you can. Use internal linking. What this means is like your website should have links inside them. Like your about us page should maybe at the bottom. Every website would have a footer, so it should have links to other pages in your website. What this means is like I showed previously here, your website on the footer should, you should be able to go to different pages on your website from a single page. It should not be that you're stuck on a page and there are no links to other pages on your website, because a person might, decide, okay, he wants to purchase now or he wants to inquire now. So you should have the sign up or contact us button mentioned on all pages, for example. So website should have internal linking, because earlier we spoke about external linking where websites, other websites should have linked to your website. But now I'm talking about in your website, the pages should be linked on every page. So you should have a header menu and a footer menu, and you should have some links that are going to blog posts here and there. You should be able to navigate your way through the website. It should not be that, okay, you're stuck on one page and you don't know what to do now. You don't know how to go back to that page, or you don't know how to contact, you don't know how to go to the contact page or the pricing page. And yeah, so you have to use links on your website internally as well as externally. Regularly, like I mentioned before, regularly publish high quality content, whether it could be blogs or it could be your product pages, or if it's an e-commerce site, it would be your product pages. Make sure you have keywords on your product pages, because ideally you want them to sell. So Google should be able to catch your product and have it rank on the first page. Build backlinks to your website. This is when I was talking about the external links linking back to your website. And in general, you need to keep improving your user experience and make navigation easy. What this means is, again, if I am on a mobile, I cannot have links that are really, really tiny and I'm not able to click on them, or I'm not able to see them. It should be an easy user interface. It should be an easy experience for me, or else I will get irritated and I will not make the purchase and I would just exit the website. So navigation or buying process should be very easy on your website, so as to users won't be confused, or they wouldn't have to wait that long, or they wouldn't have to zoom in too much into the website just to be able to click on the purchase. Yeah, so basically a responsive website. Now the next thing is, when you are doing all of these things, of course it is important to monitor your search engine optimization game. How would you know that your website is doing well is if you keep monitoring how your SEO is doing. And the main tool for this is, of course, Google Analytics. It's basically a free tool, but it does have a paid version. But the free tool is pretty much covering a lot of aspects of your website. Like it would show you a lot of things, and you would be able to review, analyze, and make changes according to the data. So what it tells you is like how many users are coming onto your website, how long are they staying for, what locations they're coming from, what device they're using. So are they using desktops more, or are they using mobile more, or are they using iPads? And a lot of these things can tell you where you need to focus. So if they're coming if they're coming from a mobile device more often, like maybe 90% of the users are coming from mobile, you need to make sure that the mobile experience is as smooth as possible. And then there are other tabs like location. If you know people are coming from Dubai more, then you can include Dubai in your keywords, and you can see where users are dropping off, which pages they like, which pages they don't like. and accordingly you can optimize your website. And yeah, it's pretty much giving you a lot of data that you can work on, and accordingly optimize your website. There are other recommended tools as well. There's Google Analytics, which I said tracks and reports website traffic, where they're coming from. Then Google Search Console. This basically checks the technicality of the website. So it's checking whether Google has indexed your pages, means has Google gone through your pages and listed them in the ranking on the search engine. And this will tell you if there are any errors or something that the developers need to fix, and it will optimize the visibility of websites. You can check all of that. Then there's a tool called SEM Rush, where you can see your competitor, their insights, how they are doing. And Ahrefs is for backlink performance analysis. Basically, how many websites are linking back to your website. You can check that. You can check how good or bad are they, because ideally you don't want to have too many bad backlinks to your website, because this will signal poor status to Google, and again it would affect your rankings. Moz is an all-round tool for SEO implementation. Like that gives you a lot of all of this that I mentioned before. It pretty much gives you you can check everything on that. Then AccuRanker is a keyword rank watch, where you can check how your keywords are ranking. Maybe one keyword is still on the second page, or how well they're doing. Like, is your SEO working? If you search for cloud hosting provider, where is it ranking? Has it moved from the third page to the second page? Now, do we need to move it from the second to the first page with your content? It will tell you how your keywords are ranking. So if you have 30 keywords, for example, you can key them all in, and it would tell you where they are ranking, on which page of Google they're ranking. So this is really important to keep checking on a weekly or monthly basis, and it will tell you if your SEO is working or not. Some SEO metrics that you need to look out for, and this is all visible on Google Analytics. So organic traffic. Now, organic traffic is the reason why we do SEO. It's all of the visitors that come to your website or blog from a search engine. This is the ultimate goal of SEO, and you should, if you are doing SEO, you ideally want your organic traffic to keep increasing month on month. Bounce rate is the number of people who are, like I said, if your website is taking too long to load, people might be like, okay, I'm done with this, I don't want to visit this website anymore, and they would just close it without visiting any other page, or without seeing the page, without anything. Basically, it's just single page sessions. I, how many people left your website without taking any other action, or without going to a second page? Like from the first page itself, they exited the website. So that's bounce rate, and ideally you want your bounce rate to be lower than 50%. But a lot of websites do have high bounce rate, and you need to find out the reason why. Maybe your content is not good enough, maybe your form is not working, maybe your contact us page, the forms are not loading, or something is wrong, and you need to figure out what it is. Pages per session shows how many pages a user is visited in within one session. uh, which means, like, if you go on a website, okay, you're checking out some products, some dresses or cars or anything, and it would show you that I visited. For example, I checked out 5 products, so it would show you that in my session I visited 5 pages, um, in within 30 minutes. One session is equal to 30 minutes, so 30 minutes I visited 5. Some might visit just one page and then just exit the site because he or she didn't get what they were looking for. But yeah, so it basically tells you on an average how many pages people are viewing. And ideally, of course, it should not be like one or less. It should be like it would show you that people are interested in your content. If this is like, oh, people are at least checking out 2 to 3 pages or 5 pages per session, so they are getting what they're looking for. If this is less, you ideally want to check out what you can improve to maybe in your content or images or something that can make it improve. And organic CTR means organic click-through rate. It's a proportion of clicks in relation to the impressions in the search engine. How many people are seeing your website in the search results, and how many people are actually clicking on it. So, for example, your website might be ranking on the first page of Google, but a lot of people are not really clicking on it. So, you want to find out maybe your descriptions or your titles are not good enough, and you can see that maybe people ranking lower to you might be doing better than you when it comes to organic CTR. So this click through rate should be, it's basically how many views of your website, like how many people are seeing your website on the search results versus how many people are actually clicking on it. So ideally you want to improve this as well. You can keep changing your meta titles and descriptions to uh, to improve this. And the last one is average users, the number of users visiting a website in a given time frame. Of course, you want to keep checking on this monthly, and you want to see that you're trying to get more and more new users on your website. And of course, you need to have some returning users as well. You want to cater to both new users and returning users. And you can obviously check this out on Google Analytics, and you want to see like how it's improving month on month. There might be some seasons, like for example in Ramadan, or like during the holiday season, where or during Christmas, where you will see a drop in users because I so many people are out on holiday, and you will see a little bit of a difference. But throughout the year, you want to make sure more and more users are finding out about your website, and you do this through improving your search engine optimization game. So just to give a summary, what I was talking about all throughout this webinar is that um, you need to do your on-page SEO, which means your content and your links and your internal linking on the website. You need to obviously analyze competitors as well. How is the design of their website? What kind of content they're putting up on their website? You want to see and learn from what they're doing right, and unlearn what they're doing wrong. So if they're doing something wrong, you don't want to, of course, you don't want to do it. And if they're doing something right and you like it, and it's generating a lot of traffic to their website. For example, a lot of people have some few-second videos on their website to attract users on the homepage. Some people have these pop-ups. Some people are now doing the chat button to like chat to someone online directly instead of trying to search for what they're looking for. Some people have like WhatsApp buttons on their website so they can directly get in touch with someone through WhatsApp. So all of these things, you need to look at what competitors are doing and then try to replicate the same for your website. And of course, you need to optimize your pages for the keywords. You need to include them so that your website ranks. You need to build your backlinks on other websites. You need to do content optimization. You need to submit your site to Google. In this, where you can see this on Google Search Console, where you will be able to see if your website is indexed and all your pages are getting indexed or not. So for example, if you have 500 pages on your website, it would show that, okay, Google has indexed all 500 pages of your website. You use the tool called Google Search Console for this. And of course, off-page promotion, which means like you have your website on social media platforms and out there. Um all of that, you're promoting your website on social media pages and other websites so that people know that your website exists. And of course, you need to keep analyzing your rankings and traffic on a monthly basis so that you can keep improving it. Yeah, so regularly measure your success, evaluate your website and SEO on a periodic basis. And like I said, SEO takes time to implement. So it's not like you would see the results like tomorrow or day after. If you start today, you need to wait for at least 3 to 4 months to see how your SEO is doing. And once it starts working, you can evaluate it on a monthly basis, and yeah, and then check and plan and do and act, and whatever you need to change, you can do the changes. and analyze a considerable amount of data over a period of time. You can't just analyze 1 or 2 days data, because that wouldn't make any sense. If you just analyze 1 week of data, that again wouldn't make any sense, because you need to have at least like maybe 1 or 2 months of data to see what is working and what's not. Because, like I said, it takes time for it to implement. So you might not see any change in a week, but you might see changes in a period of 1 month or 2 months. Again, use these tools to analyze what's going well, what's not going well, and then implement the required changes, and then keep this process going until you have everything sorted and your website ranks on page number one. Once it's ranking on page number one and the top 5 results, you can always add more keywords and get more people to go onto your website, improve your organic traffic, and get more and more users to your website. Okay, so that was basically the end of my session. And if anyone has any questions, they can either ask them or drop it into the chat box.
If anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, that's fine. If anyone wants to do that, yeah. Mehika, there's one question in the chat right now.
Yeah. Is there a ratio of static versus ideal? So Celeste is asking, is there a ratio of static versus animated content that is ideal? I always thought animated content attracts and captures consumers more, but you mentioned regularly updated static content is key for Google ranking. So there's no ideal ratio as such. Static I mentioned because Google really likes to, it reads the website through static content. But of course, like images and animated content can also have something called alternative tags, which is called alt tags for short, where you can describe what that video or what that image is about. And this would signal Google that you have this video or this image that is talking about, for example, if it's a fashion website, you will say, this image is a blue colored dress, and or you have a shoe, so it would be like Adidas shoe, and you would mention this in the alt tag, so it would signal Google what this image is about. And of course, there's no ideal ratio as such. You could have images and videos also on your website, but you need to make sure that these alt tags describe what that image or video is about, so that Google knows what that image is talking about. But it's also important to have static content as well, because these images and videos would not be enough to have your website rank on the first page. Yeah, so you should have a mix of both ideally, and you could keep the static content on a separate. You could keep it on a separate page. For example, you could create a blog section and just update static content regularly over there. But on your home page and other pages, you could have like your product shots and animated content, make it all attractive to get users onto your website. But it's important to have static content as well. It's really important for Google ranking. So I hope that answers your question. So it's called an alt tag. Is there a way to still have animated content but still use that? No, the alt tags are basically describing images and videos only. Static content is something different. It's just the text on the website. You're welcome. Is there anyone else who has any questions?
All right, I don't think we have any other questions coming in. Mihika, maybe you want to share your details in case anyone wants to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Guys, I will also share the recording with you soon, and you guys can watch it again if you've missed out on anything.
So here are the Qureos details. And here are my details as well. So my email, LinkedIn, and Instagram is linked here. It's Mihika Savlani. It's MIHIKAASAWLANI. So you could, if you have any questions, you can email me or add me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to answer your questions and guide you through any digital marketing queries that you have, or help you in any other way that I can.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Mihika, for being here, for spending your evening with us and taking us through all of these different things. Some of these things are new, and we've just built on some of the older knowledge that we have. Thank you guys for being here as well. Each one of you, thank you for spending your evening learning with us. I will be sending out more information about future cohorts and all sorts of new stuff coming up soon. And I think we'll wrap it up for today. And we will all keep in touch, and Mihika will probably be back with another webinar or doing some sort of
This
future
was my
mentorship.
first time, so excuse me if I was a little nervous.